All right, math is not just about numbers. It's not just about adding and subtracting. A lot of times math is about making sense of stuff, analyzing things, analyzing data that we've been given, and making decisions, and being able to back up your decisions with a reason. All right, if you can justify, just sit down please, if you can justify the answer that you are giving and it makes sense, I'll go with your answer. Right? I have no problem going with your answer. But you have to be able to be analytical on this. We have to be able to think on these. So for those of you that looked at number 13, and you're like, I didn't know what to do. Well, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think you knew what to do, you just didn't want to do it. Or you didn't read the directions. All right, so let's take a look at number 13. Because I feel like, and I have kids, and I'm going to throw them under the bus too, I feel like when things get too hard for some of you, you're like, I don't know what to do, I'm not going to do it. How many of you guys have had that happen to you? All of us, every one of you. Frankie, that's never happened to you? All of us, it's happened to me. All right, but no one's going to do this stuff for you. So when you get to a test, you do have to know what you're doing. You do have to read the directions. You do have to figure out what it is. So for 13, it says, the directions were, which central tendency best describes each situation? So this is number of apples in a 2-pound bag. Okay, so let's think about a 2-pound bag. How many of you guys have gone to the store and you've seen apples in you can buy them individually, right? You can buy them in a bag, like the Granny Smith apples, like the little tiny ones, sometimes you'll find them in a bag, right? Okay, so we're talking about a 2-pound bag, and I want you to use your logic here. Dominic, you're listening. I need you guys to use your logic here. Everybody look over here at me. I need you to visualize yourself walking into a store, Kroger, Costco, whatever. You are picking up a bag of apples. I mean, this could be potatoes. Picking up a bag of apples. What do you notice, so picture it, what do you notice in general about all the apples in that bag? Just venture a guess. Somebody think. I want you to think this through, because we're trying to figure out number of apples in a bag. It's a 2-pound bag. All of these bags that I'm going to set out here are 2-pound bags of apples. You know, what do you think you're going to notice about each bag? Erin? How many of you guys agree they're probably mostly all going to be the same size? Whether it's a bag with little tiny apples in it, or a bag with the big apples in it. Chances are we don't see a mixture of little and big apples. How many of you guys agree with that? Okay. So if that's the case, if the vast majority of them are the same size, right? What does that tell you about the number of apples if I had 10 bags of 10 2-pound bag apples? What might you say, and assuming they're all bags with the small Granny Smith apples, okay? What might you say about the number of apples in that bag based on Erin's observation that they're all probably all the same size apples in general? What might you say about the number of apples in the bag? Angela? Yes, there's more than one. Alex? How many of you guys agree there's probably going to be the same amount of apples? Do you think there's going to be exactly the same amount of apples? But they might range, right, between almost the same amount. So if that's your observation, that's going to be about the same number of apples in each bag. Which of your central tendencies then would be that best describer? If your statement is there's probably the same number of apples in each bag, which best describer goes with that statement? Kira? How many of you guys agree mean would? Okay, why? Why wouldn't mode? Why wouldn't mode? Because you've got to rule out mode before you can say mean. I'm not saying you're wrong, okay? Why would you say mode would be? So why would I want to say mode would be? Layla? guys think that the vast majority of them are going to have exactly the same apples in the bag? How many of you guys think that that might be the case? Okay, so that's your explanation. You would say mode, because I think that out of 10 bags, more than half of them are going to have the same number of apples in there because they're all the same size. Do you think that's a fair statement? Okay. How many of you guys are like, no, I don't think so. I think they probably won't have exactly the same number, but we might have one that has 10 apples in this one, and 9 apples in this one, and 11 apples in that one, and 10 apples in that one, and 9 in that one. How many of you guys think that it would vary, but it would be around the same number? How many of you guys think that might be the situation? Then you would say me. Does that make sense? So that's your explanation for that. That's your mindset. So your answer might be different. Mine might be different than Audrey's because I'm thinking they probably all have the same number of apples because they're all the same size. But Audrey's thinking, yeah, but that size may vary enough that this one might have 10, this one might have 9, that one might have 11. They all kind of hover around 10 in the bag. That would be me. Does that make sense, you guys? Do you understand the explanation behind it? That's what I want you guys thinking, is being able to synthesize that explanation and make sense of what your opinion of it is, and then go back and say which one you think is the best describer, okay? All right, let's look at another one. All right, so let's look at, so for this one, if we have to assume apples all the same size, and we might say mode because I think most of the bags have same number of apples in them. That's the explanation I would give if I thought it was mode, or I might say mean because they would all have around the same number. But not exactly. Or something like that. Okay, so let's take a look at 14. 14 says, favorite brand of jeans of 14-year-olds. What's the information I'm analyzing here? Come on, yoo-hoo! What's the information on 14 I'm analyzing here? This is like the easiest question you're going to get from me all day. Read what I've written here and tell me what is the data I'm analyzing here. Pierre? Excellent. Is that numbers? So what can't be our best describer if I don't have numbers? What cannot be our best describer if I don't have numbers? Michaela? The mean and median, because those require calculations. So my mode is the only possibility. So here I would say mode because it's not numbers. And I would say most girls probably, I'm going to go with girls, like the same brand. But it can't be mean or median because I need numbers for mean or median. All right, the last one we had, 15. 15 was the ages, we've talked about this, the ages of students in a 5th grade class. We talked a little bit about this yesterday in our class, right? So what do you guys think? Again, this is your opinion. Halfway through the year, this might be a different opinion, right? Because many of you, halfway through the year, many of you may have had half of you may have had your birthdays, the other half may not have had their birthdays, right? Right now, not as many of you have had your birthdays yet, right? I think yesterday we had 3 people in here that were already 13. because they probably already have their birthdays this year, for this school year. But the vast majority of you have not had your birthdays. So we're looking at this of the lens of November, not the lens of maybe February, where we still have a lot of birthdays left. All right, so somebody tell me, what did you have? Not what did the book say. What did you have for 15? Alex, why did you say mode? Put your hands down. How many of you guys agree with that statement? Sure, I would say that. Who had something different or had a different explanation? Christiana? Well, here's the thing. I totally agree with you with mode. I'm concerned about your explanation. Because if the vast majority is either 10 or 11, that can't be mode. If it's one of them, because which one are you saying is your mode? An 11-year-old or a 10-year-old? So you got to pick one, right? So I like that you said mode, but what Alex said is a little bit more accurate, that the majority of them are probably going to be the same age. If you think it's a 50-50, then it's not mode. It would have to be me. Does that make sense to you? So like in February, I might say that. It's probably evenly dispersed between 10 and 11. So at that point, I would say it has to be me. Because one is not the majority over the other. Does that make sense to you guys? So for you to use mode, you have your belief has to be, or the data has to be, that I would say mode because one of the data points has to be the vast majority. All right, so I would say mode because the vast majority of students are probably the same age. That would be my explanation. Does this help you guys a little bit? All right, so on your homework tonight, you are dealing with mean, median, and mode. All right, but I will tell you that this type of an analysis will be on your test. All right, so please understand how to analyze these and wrap your head around what you think is the best thing based on your assumptions. Do you guys understand? Okay, you guys can go. Thank you. Again, if you need to come see me and you want to come see me at lunch, which is the earliest I will see you, you need to let me know you're coming at lunch, or you can come at study hall.